This story begins in Brazil. Alex Ferreira was a 33-year-old man living in Jatai, southern Goiás state, a city best known for being a major producer of agricultural products. Alex lived with his new wife, a 20-year-old woman named Maylee Helen Carvalho. Alex's daughter from a previous relationship would visit them regularly, as she lived just 1 block away with her grandmother. Many people often become nervous about introducing their child to their new partner. But when Alex introduced his daughter to Maylee, she seemed to really take to her new stepmother. Alex, of course, was delighted. However, before long, it became apparent that something wasn't quite right with his daughter. He could never quite pinpoint what it was until one night in November of 2020. Alex discovered text messages and a letter written by his daughter to her new stepmother. The letter professed a platonic love for the woman and begged her to separate from her dad so that they could live together instead. Alex was left in shock. Not only was his 12-year-old child trying to solicit a relationship from an adult woman, but this was also his own daughter trying to steal his wife away from him. Alex was furious and felt betrayed. He approached his daughter and shouted at her, telling her that her passion was misguided. This erupted in an argument before she eventually stormed out of his home and went back to her grandmother's house. Alex's daughter was not about to let this go. Relatives say that she became furious at how her father had shouted at her, and this had led her to harbouring a grudge against him. Over the next 24 hours, the anger and jealousy boiled away in her, and she decided that she was going to take action. The next evening, the little girl allegedly drank several cans of beer to build up courage. She had plans to commit an atrocious act. Just what this act was would soon play out in the most brutal way. After downing the alcohol, she had walked to her father's home a block away from where she lived and banged on the door, waking up both Maylee and Alex. Maylee opened up the door and was surprised to see her 12-year-old stepdaughter stood in the doorway. As a way to get access into the home, the girl told her stepmother that she had felt remorseful for how she had spoken to her father the night before, and said that she had come round to make peace with him. Maylee told the girl that her father was asleep in their bedroom, but that he would probably be happy to get up, so that they could make up. As the girl made her way into Alex's bedroom, it's reported that the concealed knife that she had hidden in her clothing before entering the property had been pulled out as she approached where her father lay in his bed. Maylee later told an officer that her husband was just about to get up when the child lunged at her father and plunged the knife into his chest. His daughter fled the property, but was found just yards away, sitting quietly on the pavement outside of her grandmother's house. Meanwhile, Alex Ferreira was rushed to hospital, where he was pronounced dead upon arrival. The weapon allegedly used in the crime was found inside the home covered in blood. When questioned about her father's murder, the little girl reportedly confessed to the crime, admitting that she had fallen in love with her stepmother and was deeply jealous of her relationship with her father. She claimed to have lost it after arguing with her father, who threatened to prevent her from visiting them if she continued with her infatuation. A relative, who declined to be named, claimed the girl's puppy love had been going on for several months prior to the tragic event, and was an open secret amongst family members. Maylee even admitted that she was fully aware of her daughter's obsession, but had never encouraged it. She made it clear to her stepdaughter that she loved her father and just wanted to be a good mother to his child. Everyone believed that it was a passing phase that the girl would grow out of. They certainly never could have imagined what it would lead to. The teen was arrested and initially held at a local police station, before being transferred to a juvenile detention centre. She faces murder charges and is yet to hire a lawyer to represent her case. Under Brazilian law, her age means that she could serve a maximum 3-year prison term with socio-educational measures to rehabilitate her back into the community. In October of 2014, Ethan Austin was a 12-year-old boy living in Benton County, Washington, with his parents and older sister, 16-year-old Caitlin. Ethan was a Boy Scout and an avid hunter who was allowed to handle weapons when supervised by adults. According to his Facebook page, he had even bagged himself a deer in the fall, which he had proudly showed off to his online friends. Ethan had attended Desert Hills Middle School and was described as a young outdoorsman who loved hunting, archery, camping and golfing. He was also a member of a local Presbyterian church. He was described by his parents as the kind of son that you always hope for. By all accounts, the Austins were a tight-knit family who enjoyed spending time together. Caitlin Austin was a junior at Kamiakin High School, where she was an honor student and a softball star. She was particularly close to her mother Cindy, who described her daughter as her best friend. On Saturday the 7th of June 2014, Ethan had visited a friend and rode his bike through the neighbourhood before watching his sister play softball. Just 2 days later, however, Ethan didn't see himself at school, according to a friend. Ethan, a usually very sociable individual, was now withdrawn and distressed about something, but he wouldn't say what. That same evening, Ethan returned home where Caitlin was. She had arrived home shortly before. The two were home alone as their parents were still at work. Sometime after, Ethan retrieved a handgun that was kept at the home from a safe which he had access to. He then, seemingly without reason, shot his sister 8 times in the head and torso. To add to the horror, it was later reported that Caitlin had also been sexually assaulted by her younger brother. After killing Caitlin, Ethan then took his own life with a gunshot to the head. Drew Austin, Ethan's biological father and Caitlin's stepfather, came home at around 5 p.m. and found both bodies lying on the floor of Caitlin's bedroom. One of his registered guns was found near to the bodies. Ethan was not suffering from any mental health problems and was not taking any medications at the time. Toxicology test results showed that drugs and alcohol had played no role in the incident. There was reportedly no animosity between the siblings, and a motive for the crime could not be found. Their heartbroken mother Cindy later posted a tribute to both of her children on her Facebook page. In November of 2009, Jamar Pinckney Jr. was a sophomore at Martin Luther King Jr. High School in Detroit, Michigan. He was a quiet boy, but well liked amongst his classmates. He was described as a good kid and was known to be articulate. His teachers boasted of how he received A's, B's and C's. He seemed like he was on the right track for a bright future. This is why the events that unfolded in this 15-year-old boy's life shocked the entire community on the 16th of November, 2009. That day, Jamar had decided to confide a secret to his mother, Lizette Cherry. It was a secret that had been eating away at his conscience. With a shaking voice, he told his mother that he had sexually assaulted his 3-year-old half-sister. Jamar knew what he had done was wrong and asked his mother to be able to receive professional help. Lizette, of course, was distraught. She had no idea what to do. Her sweet 15-year-old son, who had the nickname Teddy Bear for his friendly nature, had just confided a startling confession that left her sick to her stomach and changed the way that she looked at him forever. Not knowing who to turn to, Lizette called up Jamar's father, Jamar Pinckney Sr., and tried to break the news to him. She told him that this is not something that could be swept under the rug, hinting that they needed to contact the police. Then, Jamar got on the phone and asked, "Daddy, can you please forgive me in your heart? Forgive what I did." Around 10 a.m. that morning, Lizette then called a family meeting to decide what to do about her son's confession. As everyone was leaning towards the option of therapy, Jamar Sr. angrily arrived home and said that the mother of his daughter wanted to press charges. Unbeknownst to everyone gathered at the home, Jamar Sr. was armed with a gun. He had not taken the news that his son was a child rapist lightly. The family members decided to leave the room to give Jamar Jr. time to speak with his parents alone. Jamar Sr. confronted his son face to face and asked him, "Jamar, is there something that you want to tell me?" The remorseful teen got on his knees in front of his father and admitted in detail that he had sexual contact with his younger sister. "I need counselling," he cried. Upon hearing the confession straight from his son's mouth, Jamar Sr. reacted with rage by punching, kicking, and pistol whipping the crying boy with the gun. His mother and aunt reported that Jamar Jr. was begging his father to stop as his pants were yanked off. Jamar Jr. was then forced to strip the rest of his clothes, leaving him completely exposed. Jamar Sr. started to forcefully march his son out of the house to a vacant lot, but friends and family tried to stop him. He angrily pointed the gun at anyone who tried to intervene until they backed away, before continuing to escort his son to the unoccupied area outside and putting him on his knees. Lizette Cherry later testified in court. "I said, Jamar, stop, don't do this. Think about what you're doing." At that moment, Jamar Sr. raised his pistol to his 15-year-old son's head and pulled the trigger, executing him. Jamar Sr., who had no history of criminal conviction and had lived a quiet life working for the past 10 years as a postal carrier, immediately turned himself into police and admitted to shooting his son dead. He was booked on first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon on the account of him pointing a gun at numerous people. His defense lawyer claimed that they were using a temporary insanity defense because hearing the news about his daughter had pushed him over the edge, and this is what had led him to shoot his son in what they described as a moment of madness. During his trial, Pinckney Sr. did not deny shooting his son, but said that it was in the heat of the moment and therefore he was only guilty of the lesser offence of voluntary manslaughter. He beat him, stripped him naked, paraded him down the street. The only inference which can be drawn is to humiliate him and take his life, said the judge. Prosecutor Kim Worthy said, "No individual has the right to exact the death penalty on another, no matter how reprehensible the behaviour." Jamar Sr. was found guilty on the lesser charge of second-degree murder and 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. He was sentenced to 37 to 80 years in prison and won't be eligible for parole until 2046. He was also ordered to pay $6,600 for his son's funeral expenses. The event was attended by hundreds of mourners who showed up to pay tribute to the young boy. Today, a memorial bench sits in Highland Park, close to Jamar's home.